Hi, hello, how are you? Good afternoon, happy Monday. I am so frustrated with my job right now. Do you ever have moments where like your boss says, do this, so you do that, and then they turn around and go, why did you do that? And it's like, I wouldn't have done that if that's not how you told me to do it. And that is just how my boss has been for the last couple of weeks, and her boss as well, which is super frustrating. Just this last month of my job has been very, very taxing, very annoying. I don't normally take my job outside of its normal hours. I don't stress about things related to my job when I clock out, but this last month has really been testing me, and I'm just not feeling great today, which is upsetting. I'm going to go meet my friend in about an hour and a half just to have coffee. I haven't seen her since I got married, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her. We've just been so busy, but I need to be better about keeping up with my, especially female friendships. My sister-in-law and her husband, they have so many friends. Her husband has like 10 friends from high school that he is still friends with. And so luckily for his wife, she is friends with all of their wives. And Skylar and I just marvel at how they have so many friends. And that's something that I really struggle with. So I'm trying to be better about keeping up with my friends. I'm gonna go have coffee with her later and then come home and make dinner and read. But I wanted to update you because I finished A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And I love Tamlin. I feel like you can hate Tamlin in the other books, but when you read this one, you love Tamlin. In this, he's a good guy. He really is. It's very much a Beauty and the Beast retelling. He just wants to make her happy. There are moments when he does say, has anybody ever taken care of you? You know, what makes you happy? What do you want? In this book, he's a sweet guy. So even if you don't like him in the other books, and I don't, I understand him a little bit more than I did the first time I read the books, because he's a man scorned. He watched the love of his life die right before his eyes. She was thankfully brought back, but that sight would truly traumatize me and make me want to also wrap my husband up in a bubble if something like that had happened to him. So that's growth as an adult, because I read this nearly 10 years ago. I read this for the first time in 2017. It's 2024 now. I read it again in 2022, now in 2024, and growth is realizing that I might have gone a little bit crazy like Tamlin does in the next book, trying to protect the love of my life if I'd seen them murdered before my eyes. That's my hot take, my honest opinion. I really enjoyed it. I think I started it on the 4th. It's the 29th now, so maybe I started it on the 26th. That's right. So I would say it took me about 2 days of reading. The first day I only read like 23 pages, and outside of that I've just been devouring it. I've been reading it a little bit here and there throughout today, and I finished it, and I don't know if I want to give myself a break or launch into A Court of Mist and Fury right now, just because I'm so frustrated with my job and want to ignore it. We'll see. I'm going to at least grab it off of my shelves and put this back up, but I really enjoyed it, and it is very much what I need right now. I really feel bad about rereading books because I feel like it takes time away that I should be reading other ones, but if this is what it takes to keep me reading and not slumping because I'm not interested in the other books that I have, then I'm going to do it. It's for the good of my mental health and my reading mentality. So 5 out of 5 stars. I think that's my 4th book. I could probably finish A Court of Mist and Fury. Ooh, today's the 30th. Today's the 29th. Tomorrow's the 30th, Wednesday is the 1st. I could maybe finish it this month and have that be 5 books read. But I don't want to push it. I want to enjoy it. I will just let myself read at whatever speed I'm like really wanting to. I love the next book so much because it is like the full introduction of Rhys and Feyre being together, and I just love it so much. So I'm going to go and I will update you on my progress with A Court of Mist and Fury. Good morning, happy Sunday. Skylar and I are back from Idlewild. We had such a nice time. We basically did nothing. Like, we walked around the town, which is really small. It doesn't even have any stoplights. It's a mountain town, just stop signs. You kind of like walk everywhere. There's a little town like center that has a couple of like restaurants, places to eat, coffee shops, thrift stores, antique stores, gift shops, ice cream places. It was just so nice. The first night that we got there, we went to a bar. We went to a thrift store first, then to a bar, and we grabbed dinner from there and went home and ate. And I think Skylar was asleep by like 9 o'clock. I stayed up for a little bit, just watching videos on my phone. And then I went to sleep, and we got up the next day. We had breakfast, we walked around, bought little trinkets and things. I bought a cookie jar, which is actually right here. It's all wrapped up. It's shaped like a little house. I have 2 others that were my grandma's, and when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, that is exactly like the ones that I have from her. And I want to put them on the top of my bookshelves over here. And eventually move into a house, I'd love to have like a whole little village of them. I think that they're just super cute, and they remind me of my grandma. I don't even know how old. She's had them for at least as long as I've been alive, I feel like. So they could be at least 30 years old, but I was super happy with that purchase. I did read A Court of Mist and Fury. Oh, it's upside down. While I was out there the second night, so Saturday night, Skylar fell asleep at 8 o'clock after just walking around all day. I'm really glad we took this little trip because I feel like it was a really good reset for him to just have a couple of days of kind of doing nothing, relaxing, and going to sleep early. He fell asleep at 8, and I think both nights he slept about 12 hours, which I just think he really needed. I stayed up Saturday night reading. I finished this yesterday. Still really loved it. I love Feyre and Rhysand. They're so good together. And after everything that Feyre has been through with Tamlin, you love him even more because of the choice that he gives her. That whenever they do anything, it's always up to her if she wants to do it. She wants to come along, fine. She wants to fight, fine. She wants to, you know, be an active participant in this court, not just somebody who's sitting on the sidelines, fine. He is always there for her to make her own decisions and wants her to have as much autonomy of herself as possible. I really, really just love it. I didn't hate Tamlin until the end of this book, when we find out that he is giving access of his land to Hybern to reach the mortal realm and take down the wall, and that is just so stupid to me. Like, and I don't feel like Lucien gets enough hate. I feel like we find out that he's Elaine's mate and we just forget all of the previous stuff and are like, oh, we love Lucien so much, oh yay, and he gets to have this really great redemption arc that Tamlin doesn't get to have. Not that I'm a fan of Tamlin. Like I said, I understood his motives in the beginning of the second book. Watching the love of your life die in front of you definitely would have fucked me up as well, and I might have acted in the same way to a certain degree. And I do think that if there was no Rhys, if they had been given the time, if like, or I guess if it wasn't endgame for Rhysand and Feyre to be together and she had come back after a while, that he truly would have seen that everything that he was doing was terrible, and maybe they would have been able to fix things. But because Feyre and Rhysand are supposed to be together, that just wasn't going to be the case. But I didn't hate him and felt sorry for him a little bit up until the end when he betrays her in such a terrible way. And then Ianthe betrays them as well and is gone like behind Tamlin's back to Hybern. And she's still involved in the next book. Like, Tamlin still doesn't get rid of her or give her any sort of punishment until Feyre takes it into her own hands to protect Lucien from her. I really loved it, but again, I didn't hate Tamlin until the end, and I don't remember too much of the next book other than what happens between Lucien and Ianthe, and the end with their father showing up, with them killing Hybern, the conversation between Feyre and Cassian where he's like, you're my High Lady to protect as well. I love that scene. But I'm really enjoying this reread, and it's just definitely like, oh, what my heart needed. I'm loving it so much. So I am going to start A Court of Wings and Ruin today. And I will update you when I have made some progress on that. Hello, happy Thursday. This is gonna be a long vlog because I just keep updating you guys, but I am like 450 pages into A Court of Wings and Ruin. My book is in the living room and I don't feel like going to go get it right now, but still really enjoying it. I just got to the part where they're doing like the war council. Rhys has invited all of the other High Lords. They've all just found out that Feyre has like a bit of their magic. Tamlin is trying to derail everything. I just feel like it's so frustrating that he didn't just communicate with Feyre from the first get-go and tell her what his plans were. Just include her in all of this, because he's claiming that the only reason why he let Hybern in was to be able to track their forces and to help defeat them. And if he had just explained that to her, I think things would have gone really differently. I also still feel like he's siding with Ianthe, which is really frustrating. So it's hard to see him as a good guy, and I'm seeing theories everywhere that like him and Elaine should be mated, or that just Elaine and Lucien are ill-fated mates. There is so much on the internet right now surrounding the ACOTAR series, which is great. I read it for the first time in 2019 and felt like I had nobody to talk to about it. And I have like a ton of friends now who are getting into the series, which is super fun. One of the girls that I was talking to, she's like my husband's friend's wife or fiance. And she was like, it's a little derivative. And I was like, I'm just the kind of person who reads purely for enjoyment. I'm not really looking at like the writing style or just like serious things. I'm just enjoying it for what it is. And in talking with her, I honestly felt a little bit defensive of the story. I was like, hey, but I definitely understand that the first book is so true YA. And it's just a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's not until the last like 100 pages when they're under the mountain and Feyre is performing the trials that it really turns into something else and you want to read the next few books. But I'm seeing so much on the internet. I'm really enjoying it. I'm just wishing like Tamlin is putting all of this out there and making Feyre realize that she was wrong about him, but he could just never trust her. Rice has never kept her in the dark. He has always been super honest with her, gave her choices, and that is really where Tamlin went wrong. But his court is so much more traditional than Rhys's, so I'm also sorry that I keep saying Rice and Rhys. I always said Rhysand first, and I always said Rice first, but I've heard it so much as Rhysand and Rhys now that it's like my brain can't decide on which one to say. But the Court of Dreams, the Court of Nightmares runs so differently, the Court of Dreams specifically, that it's understandable to me that that is the way that Rhys has treated her versus the way that Tamlin did. He lives in a very traditional court. They still do a lot of old traditional things like the tithe, and it's just part of why him and Feyre wouldn't work. Honestly, the theory that Elaine could be the Lady of the Spring Court really makes a lot of sense. I feel like she would really, really fit well into that mold, but it's almost like Tamlin just wants a generic person to fit into this mold that he has of what he wants for his wife and his mate to be, which isn't fair to anybody. It just could be Elaine that fits into it, but I don't really like them together. I don't really know who I want her to be with. I feel bad for Lucien, but I do love the chemistry that Asriel and Elaine has, and the way that he is just so soft towards her and has seen her from the very beginning. It just seems like Elaine and Lucy are going to be ill-fated mates, kind of like Rhysand's parents were, or like Tamlin's parents were. So we shall see, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm definitely going to finish it tonight. I stayed up until midnight reading last night, which was a mistake because I am so tired and I cannot stop yawning, and I think I need to go get like a soda or something, but I will update you when I have finished. Good morning, happy Friday. I did it. I finished A Court of Wings and Ruin last night. I tabbed so much and I have loved this series. Honestly, I'm so glad that I read it. I feel like it has just improved my mood so much, and it's one of the series that really shows me why I love reading so much. It just brings me so much joy, really makes me feel like reignited for reading every time that I read it. It's so good. I'm not saying it's like the best book out there, but in terms of how it makes me feel, I've just really enjoyed this series. The miscommunication between Feyre and Tamlin bothers me so much. Like I said it in the last clip, if he had just been honest with her, if he had trusted her, if he had been like, this girl literally got herself killed for me. She can handle knowing about war, things like that, and what was going on with this territory. If he had just understood that, like, so much would have been avoided. You find out how much damage she really did to Tamlin's forces, and I feel like that's on him though. Like, she just exposed him, but I think part of it is because he was trying to show Ianthe that he supported her and like Hybern, while also trying to undermine them or figure out their strategies. He could have communicated better and things would have went so differently for him. So that was really frustrating for me throughout this, just to find out that they all doubted him so much. And I think part of that is because his father sided with Hybern, so they just kind of assumed that he was going to also. And in the end, like, he saved Feyre's life. He gives up another kernel of himself to Rhysand to bring him back to life, and tells Feyre to just be happy. And I'm hoping that maybe in Elaine's book we get to see some of him healing as well. not addressed in Nesta's book, and I think in Nesta's book it's said that like his grounds are deserted and it's just him prowling in his like animal form, which makes me sad. It sucks that like that's the end that he got, but it is the end that he brought upon himself. So we'll see. I would like to see more character development from him in the future. My dad just texted me, yo bro, he's weird. It's where I get it from, I'm guessing. I'm not sure if I'm going to reread A Court of Silver Flames yet. I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break and read some of the manga that Skylar got for me that's based, or it's the Rereading series. We watched it on Crunchyroll, the animation, and I really wanted to see if the manga was any different or if the series was just going to be word for word. I feel like with the cartoon, we didn't have a ton of world building or character detail, but I guess the world itself is not the focus, it's Rereading. But there were some things, I think because of like all the high fantasy and stuff that I've been reading, that I was like missing, wanting an episode of world building. So I don't know if I'm going to get any of that in the manga, but I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break and read like one or two of those before moving into A Court of Frost and Starlight potentially. And then maybe A Court of Silver Flames. Nesta's not my favorite. I enjoy her for who she is in her own book, but A Court of Silver Flames feels detached from ACOTAR. I consider the first 3 books ACOTAR and everything else separate, or just A Court of Silver Flames to be separate. So that Nesta feels a little bit different to me, but having just read these now, yeah, I definitely have issues with Nesta. I'm an oldest daughter. I would never be okay letting one of my siblings be the one who was going out into the forest and hunting for us. And then for them to come back with food and money and whatever it is that we needed and insult them. So I have issues with Nesta, especially with reading these back to back. I feel like she gets off too easy, and I also feel like nobody says anything to Elaine because they're worried that, one, she might have gone crazy. You find out that she's a seer, so people just don't say anything to her. She's soft and she's pretty and she's too delicate to be mean. I think that more people need to tell both of them that they were shitty sisters to Feyre. So I don't know if I'm going to read A Court of Silver Flames. I might need a little bit of time to kind of like detach and read that as separate. But I'm going to end this here. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below, let me know how your April was, how your May has been so far. The last couple of months have been really good for me. I'm applying for another position at work, so we'll see how that goes. Just trying to keep pushing forward and not let any bad days leak over into other days. I did get a Barnes & Noble gift card from my boss, but I'm saving it. I'm saving it. I don't need anything right now, so I'm keeping it in my back pocket for a potential bad day, just to, you know, treat myself and hopefully make myself feel better. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.